Hi, my name is Juliana Dempsey. I am a member of the SSD Educator Evaluation System District-wide Committee. I am going to take a second to show you how you might want to go about developing your Educator Growth Plan. What I have on my screen is a PDF of what you might see when you log into TalentEd. So it'll look a little bit different in TalentEd, but not a lot. A couple of things that I want to draw your attention to first are up here at the top. We've got the growth guide, which is where we'll go when we look to establish your baseline and do your initial study. And then there's also a link called Strategies by Indicator, which is where you'll find the high yield strategies that you can use when you're filling in the do portion of your professional growth plan. So the first things you're going to end up doing are filling in the date, clearly, and you're going to select the indicator. First, you'll select the standard from the drop-down and then the indicator from the drop-down below. The first box that you'll come to write in will be something that asks you to describe why this indicator was selected. This is usually just a statement related to particularly if this indicator was selected for you as a mandated indicator, you're going to want to put in there something related to the fact that it aligns to your area leadership team or your district focus or your partner district collaboration. Whatever it is that your supervisor tells you is the reason that the indicator was selected. If you're self-selecting the indicator, then again, you want to tell in this box exactly why you've selected it. It might be that on my annual performance review last year, this was noted as an area for opportunity for growth. So whatever reason you have for selecting it, you're just going to make a brief statement in the first box. Then we're going to move down to the initial study. In a few minutes, I'll take you to the growth guide and show you how I would do this. Basically, the initial study is just a narrative that talks about where you're at right now. So when you think about the indicator, what are you currently doing? What is your evidence to support it? And what might be an opportunity for growth? Your plan is a SMART goal that says something to the effect of, by March of 2018, I'm going to increase my ability to XYZ as measured by, and however you're planning to measure that. So it's your SMART goal for the year. And then the do are the strategies that you're going to use to address your goal. In a few minutes, I'll take you to the possible sources of evidence and to the strategies by indicator to help figure out where you would find that. Basically, you're going to click on this, and it's going to take you to a list of strategies by Marzano or Hattie or Lamov, which is Teach Like a Champion. All you'll have to do is figure out which strategies you're going to use and put them in the box. The last thing you'll do is put your baseline rating. And when I open the growth guide in a few minutes, then I will show you how to select your baseline rating. So that's the quick and dirty way to do your first growth target. And then as you scroll down in TalentEd, you'll also have a second growth target. At the very end, there'll be an opportunity for you to attach documents if you so desire. And then down here in the left-hand corner, where you can't see right now, but there'll be a button that says Save and Submit. When you do that, it gets sent to your administrator, who will then either send it back to you for revision or will approve it. All right, this is the growth guide that I talked about earlier. This is what you're going to use to conduct your initial study. You'll notice there are 4 columns on every growth guide. I'm just going to use indicator 1.1 because it's first, but you'll notice there are 4 columns: emerging, developing, proficient, and distinguished. And there are 3 frames of the educator. There's an evidence of commitment, evidence of practice, and evidence of impact. For some indicators, there are not there's not a professional frame for all three. So let me scroll down here really quick to 1.2, which I know only has 2. You'll notice there's no evidence of commitment for this one. But we're going to do 1.1 as the example. When you look at the frames, you want to ask yourself 3 questions. 1, is this in place? 2, is it in place consistently? And 3, what evidence do I have to support that? And so when I look at these, if I have is well prepared to guide students to a deeper understanding of content, if that's in place and it's consistent, if all 3 of these are in place and consistent, then I'm a 2. These numbers at the bottom go from left to right within the column. So if I had nothing in this column, I'd clearly be a 0. If I had all 3 of these things in place, but they weren't there consistently, I'd be a 1. But since I feel like I have all 3 things in place and in place consistently, I'd be a 2. Then I'll move to the developing column and do the same thing. Again, if I have all 3 of these things in place, but not consistently, I'd be a 3. If I have them all in place and consistently, I'd be a 4. Then I'd keep moving over. So for the sake of the example, let's just assume that I'm a 3. And the thing that I really need to work on is this piece of students are able to use academic language. When I go back to my initial study on the Educator Growth Plan document, I'm just going to do a narrative of what I just talked with you about. I'm going to talk about what I currently do, what's there consistently, and what an opportunity for improvement is. Then in the plan box, I'm going to write a SMART goal for this piece, that students are able to use academic language. So my SMART goal might be something like, by March of 2018, students will be able to consistently use academic language as measured by maybe student reports or student work samples or student interviews, surveys, whatever it is that I'm going to do to make sure they are able to use academic language. Now that I've completed my initial study and I've developed my plan, my SMART goal, I have to select strategies that I'm going to use to implement the plan. So when I open that strategies link on the Growth Plan in Talent Ed, it's going to take you to a drop box, and the indicators are all here, and you'll notice they're linked. So I'm just going to click the little finger on indicator 1.1, and it's going to take me right to the strategies for 1.1. I want to be careful to select a strategy that will support my plan. So I remember that my plan is to make sure that all kids are able to use academic language. So I'm going to go through here and look for strategies that might help me with academic language. It might be something like this one. The teacher engages students in activities that help them reflect on their learning and the learning process, because I noticed here it says that students can explain what they could have done to enhance their learning, and they can explain confusion or clarity and describe how hard they tried. That might be one that I would use. I know that Hattie is probably not my best try. And usually, to be quite honest, I go to Lemov, which is Teach Like a Champion. I just find them a little easier to use. Here's one that I really think would work, which is Name the Steps. So as the teacher, what I'm going to do is identify the steps, make them sticky or memorable for kids, build the steps, and use stairways to explain the process and the doing of the process. The kiddos are going to have to learn the steps and use the map as they progress towards mastery and explain the process. So that to me means that they're going to be able to use academic language when they do that. So on my Educator Growth Plan, I'll go back to the do portion and I will put in there technique 13, name the steps, and then simply put this in there as well as the strategy I'm going to use. I hope you found this helpful. If you have questions or you need assistance, you can feel free to email me. My name again is Juliana Dempsey, and my email is jmdempsey@ssdmo.org.